the Cold War operation that kept nuclear-armed B-52s minutes from Soviet airspace at all times. While the deployment of atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki remains the subject of intense historical debate, one aspect of these devastating attacks is not disputed: their use changed the course of world history. The dropping of the two bombs demonstrated to all observers, particularly the Soviet Union USSR, that atomic weapons possess the capacity not only to alter the course of a war, but potentially to end one entirely. Yet the attacks on Japan would not mark the end of warfare or geopolitical competition between nations. Instead, they served as a prelude to the far more dangerous and enduring Cold War. During this period, the production and deployment of nuclear weapons took center stage, alongside deterrence strategies designed to convince adversaries that any nuclear first strike would be met with a massively destructive second strike in return. Fitting into America's deterrence policy during the height of the Cold War was Operation Chrome Dome. The operation was designed to ensure that the USSR understood that if it launched a nuclear strike against American military or civilian targets, it would face immediate retaliation from nuclear-armed Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bombers already on station near Soviet airspace. A world of nuclear peril. Following the strikes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Soviet leadership, particularly Joseph Stalin, viewed the United States' monopoly on atomic weapons as a major strategic threat. And while the USSR already had a nuclear program before 1945, the bombing of Japan with the Little Boy and Fat Man bombs dramatically increased the priority of producing and deploying these frightening weapons. The Soviets' desire to attain nuclear capability was on full display on August 29, 1949, at the Semipalatinsk test site in Kazakhstan. It was at this site that the USSR conducted its first nuclear test, detonating the RDS-1 atomic bomb. This one test cemented the arms race into Cold War reality, as both the USSR and the US sought to massively increase their arsenals. As the adage went, the nuclear genie was out of the bottle. The table below, as compiled from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, displays the drastic increase in nuclear weapons during the peak years of the Cold War prior to the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks in 1972. In order to maintain a lead in the ability to deploy nuclear weapons if the need arose for a retaliatory strike, the commander of Strategic Air Command SAC, General Curtis LeMay, began rapidly building the command's bomber force beginning in 1947. By 1955, SAC had a fleet of more than 2,000 Boeing B-47s and nearly 750 Boeing B-52s, the latter first deployed in 1955. In terms of personnel, the organization grew from 262,609 in 1959 to 282,723 by 1962. Yet, as the USSR began to demonstrate significant progress in developing strategic bombers such as the Myasishov M for Bison and Tupolev Tu-95 Bear and nuclear missiles, the immediate perception was that civilian centers and the SAC airfields would be vulnerable to attacks from incoming missiles. In response, in 1958, President Eisenhower directed SAC to begin dispersing its bombers to other non-SAC bases within the continental U.S. This repositioning was designed to further enhance the flexible response strategy and add another level of complication to Soviet attack timing and targeting operations. In addition to widely deploying its bomber forces, SAC planners increased the readiness of its bomber crews, particularly those of its B-52s, through the Ground Alert Program. According to United States Air Force General Chris Adams, a retired B-52 pilot, when the klaxon horn sounded, we had to get to our airplanes as rapidly as possible, get into our positions, turn on aircraft power, and prepare to start engines, to taxi, or to take off for war. It was this routine and snap preparedness that provided the ability for B-52 bomber crews to engage in round-the-clock operations in the event of war with the USSR, while war fortunately did not occur. U.S. military planners were already prepared for this contingency with one of the riskiest and most audacious deterrence operations ever undertaken.